Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where professionals in the field inform, educate and inspire the community to be healthier, more balanced and live the lifestyle they love. Today in the studio we have Carolyn Pope, who is an animal communicator and therapist, and today we're going to be discussing animal global awareness, myth or truth. Hi Carolyn and welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. So can you tell us, is there animal global awareness? Is it true?
Absolutely it is, yeah. We have the internet, animals have the internet, and in the same way on Messenger, you can see someone's on there, but you don't want to talk to them. They can ignore you or other animals, or they can choose to communicate. And all animals are aware. The geese that fly from north to south and vice versa will literally spread the news. It's almost like in the old days when we only had the telegraph. Animals have always had it. We like to think that we're so superior, and yet the technology, in inverted commas, that they've always known what's gone on in other sections of the world. We're just a little slower to catch up.
Can you please give me some examples of what this is and how it works?
They have thought in exactly the same way we do, and it's the telepathics. I remember on September 11, I was staying at a mate's place, went down later that day to my horse, just looked at him and said, "Do you know about it?" And he said to me, "Yes, we all know about it. We just can't understand it. Can you explain it?" No, not really. But every animal on the planet, because you think how much that was broadcast across. Some of them will have picked up the people in the planes. Some of them will have picked up the pets and pet dogs, pet cats that saw it. The birds will have seen it. And it goes out in the same way it did on our television screens. They know and they understand. Another client of mine was going to Hawaii, and she was doing a communication to make sure the animals knew she'd be back and all those sorts of things. And the cat actually said to her, "Be careful. There's going to be an earthquake." First night at the pub, she's happily half tanked and telling everybody, and they were giving it to her for the rest of the trip. Oh, the earthquake. Day before they were due to leave, guess what there was? A large earthquake. She said it was such a shame it wasn't the second day because everyone was buying a drink. She could have had a lovely week. But the animals know so much more than we do. And a friend of mine's cockatoo, when we had that earthquake in Melbourne earlier this year, I think it was, or late last year, that was the strongest one we'd had in quite a while. Apparently half an hour before, he's turned around and gone, "Batten down the hatches. There's going to be an earthquake and it's going to be a big one." Sure enough, there was. So they know long before we do. They sense the energy of the earth and they all communicate because they feel it. I mean, you see all the pictures of the elephants heading up before the earthquakes or the tsunamis. Animals have this inbuilt knowledge. It's us humans that are left behind. We really like to think we're so all over it. We are so incredibly isolated from the rest of creation. We really are. And any animal can tune in to any other animal or person anywhere in the world and know what's going on. Friend of mine's cockatoo, it literally saved my life one day. I was really tired, mountain road. I was on my way home. I knew the road well, but it was one that a lot of people had killed themselves on. And he just said to me, "Slow down, look at your speedo." And I was doing 30k faster than I thought I was. If I'd hit that bend, it wouldn't have been pretty. And this is the thing, we are all connected. We forget that in the age that we're in now. You go back 100 years, 200 years, 1,000 years. We were much more interconnected, not only with ourselves, because we needed the community to survive. We weren't isolated. We all lived together. Go back, particularly Europe, where there's snow, the animals lived in with you because otherwise they'd all die of cold, as we would have. You got to know the animals intimately on a bunch of levels that most people don't today. And we were connected. It mattered what they did. If they couldn't work or they were exhibiting signs of soreness, it mattered if they were a working animal. It mattered with the crops because if your crops failed, you starved to death. These days we go to the supermarket, we don't think twice. We've become so disconnected. But often, particularly before a large weather event, for example, the animals would let you know. And even today, if it's going to be a really hot summer, the animals will all drop their coat a lot earlier. Then the people would know, oh, okay, we're going to be heading towards a hot summer, or vice versa, cold, wet winter. The animals start growing their coat 2 months earlier. The farmers would know and would try and stock up. We were interconnected. We've lost all of that, or most of that. Some rural areas still have it, but very few. And, these days, the most we do with weather is flip up our phone and look at the weather app. We don't even walk and look outside or know what to do. They used to look at the animals and work out. Quite often, that would be as good or better a weather barometer as listening to the Melbourne Bureau.
And if your animal is behaving oddly, what would be your advice?
There's always a reason. You need to find it. And don't wait. Don't let it drag out. If your animal's acting oddly, animal therapist, vet, and you may well find, yes, it may well be a massive thunderstorm. A lot of dogs will pace. One of mine used to know any sort of atmospheric pressure he struggled with. So 2 days before a storm, he could be bad. It was really unpleasant for him, poor little guy. But they know, you may find it's an earthquake, but often it's pain. Oddly, there's always a reason, but most times animals will be odd, is pain. So always get them checked by a health care professional as soon as you possibly can.
Well, thank you very much, Carolyn. It's been a pleasure. If you want to know more about Carolyn Pope and animal global awareness, go to her webpage on our website at healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au, and please stay tuned. We've got another fantastic guest coming after the break.
Stay tuned. After the break, Jacqui Grant, an NDIS business consultant and empowerment coach, will be discussing the 3 fundamentals for a healthy working environment for neurodiverse people. Welcome back. Our second guest today is Jacqui Grant. She's an NDIS business consultant and empowerment coach. And the topic we'll be discussing today is the 3 fundamentals for a healthy workplace environment for neurodiverse people. Welcome, Jacqui.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Jacqui, please list for us the 3 fundamentals for a healthy workplace environment for neurodiverse people.
In the workplace, so many people who are neurodiverse or have neurodivergent traits, it comes with a lot of challenges. So one of the first things is that they are understood, really understood for what they require as an individual. Number 2 is that the work environment is willing and able to support them. So for example, for some people, feeling overstimulated. It can be such a challenge with too many lights, too much noise. It can be quite distracting. For some people, dyslexia is a problem, but they can still do their job. They just require maybe voice to text to help them as a spell check, little things like that. As that continues to be evolving, so some days traits are really good. For example, hyper-focused, got the job done. Other days, nope, can't remember what those instructions were 5 minutes ago. Got part of it, but not all of it. So as a workplace creates those changes for the person, and they don't have to be expensive, the person can feel more comfortable and engaging in their job, and importantly, enjoy their job, which helps them to mask less, helps them to increase their energy, and be a big part of the team. And the third thing is that they are having some allowances for those times when they're just not coping. For example, if they're triggered with what is commonly known as a meltdown. So it could just be going into overwhelm and needing to be able to walk away, going to a quiet place, being able to get up and leave their workstation to have that time out. Could be a walk around the park, it could be a walk outside, it could simply just taking some time away from everybody to feel calm, centered and grounded.
How does understanding the individual help?
So when it comes to being neurodiverse, everybody's unique, just as everybody's unique that's neurotypical. In the workplace though, if you understand each individual's requirements who are neurodiverse, and we focus on that more because it can be very overwhelming and confronting for the person who has neurodivergent traits. So when you understand as an employee, as well as the manager, as well as the co-worker, that your person that you work with has these uniqueness, these traits that they may need to follow. For example, for some people who have both ASD or on the autism spectrum and ADHD, some days they like to follow the rules and they understand exactly where everything is. But on other days, ADHD is a bit more at play, so that hyperactivity, that spontaneity, and it's like, no, there's too many steps to go from looking for a file, for example. By understanding that as a manager, you have a staff member that needs to make adaptations as to where to find that file or that information, can make their job so much easier, which in turn makes your job so much easier. So understanding each individual's requirements makes the workplace much better, not just for that individual, but for everyone else. And then as part of that, productivity can go up, more likely that everybody will show up to work because it is an all-inclusive environment, and especially for the person who is neurodivergent. One of the traits that I have as a person who has the diagnosis of ADHD as well as ASD or autism is my hyperfocus. Once I focus on a task, it's done.
If you were neurodiverse in your workplace and hesitant to talk to your manager about your needs, what's some advice you could offer to initiate this conversation with your co-workers and your manager?
Basically, there's a couple of steps with that advice. One is really get to know yourself as an individual. Like, think of your worst day that you may experience in your workplace first and write that down. Like, what is my worst day? If I get overwhelmed, if I get exhausted, am I likely to storm out of the workplace? Like, am I likely to sit in the corner and cry? Am I likely to just, complain to everybody and overshare? Like, what's the worst case that can happen? And then from there, you can say, what do I need to minimize that occurring in my job? So thinking about the job, thinking about the worst case scenario and bringing that together. And then as you bring that together, you can then say to your manager, so I'd start with the manager first and say, I'd just like to have a conversation with you about some of the things that I find challenging in the workplace that I would really like to minimize those challenges to make it so that I can come to work every day, enjoy it and do my best job. And having that positive approach of being the team player and wanting to make it work and knowing your worst case and explaining that the best way you can will make all the difference, because your manager is then potentially seeing it not so much as a challenge, but as something that, I want to work with that person. I want to help them to be part of the team and bring out their strengths, because when we bring out strengths in ourselves and each other, the workplace, for example, is such a better place. And really take your time then to have that conversation with the manager in a space that there's plenty of time. If you need to bring some evidence that helps back up your, with my dyslexia, I found that this works, so an app or something, and having the expectation of being heard, that you open communication around solving the challenge and and having the solution. Now, if you're still having trouble articulating your specific needs, then having a coach that can actually help you articulate that can be a great place. And then for it to ripple out into your co-workers, you then say to your manager, look, can we let people know that, when they're constantly calling me, it's actually quite triggering, or whatever it is, and then seeing how a team approach can happen.
That's such important information. Thanks, Jacqui. If you'd like to know more about the 3 fundamentals for creating a safe working environment for neurodiverse people and Jacqui Grant, please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we have another interesting guest with another interesting topic.
Stay tuned. After the break, Yoga for Wellbeing instructor and author Pauline Rooney is talking about electronic devices for work, school and pleasure and yoga. Welcome back, and now we have Pauline Rooney back with us, our Yoga for Wellbeing instructor and author. And now we're talking about devices in work, computers, and in school, and in the environment, really. Welcome back, Pauline.
Thanks, Linda. It's lovely to be back.
And today the topic is devices in our workplace or school, in our environment, really, mobile phones. So how much time do we spend on these devices?
Linda, I personally was shocked when I was doing the research. On average, we spend approximately 17 years of our life on smartphones and other devices. And I found that truly amazing. I have read other reports that state that that 17 hours is only on smartphones, and other devices are added on top of that. No matter which way you look at it, Linda, we're on our devices a lot.
And how can we incorporate yoga into this? How does yoga help us to look at this differently?
Well, the blessings of yoga is we can do yoga everywhere and anywhere, and it is for everyone and everybody. So if you're at work or even at school, the same things apply. We tend to sit very set and lean in, and there's the yoga poses of sitting back, lifting, just lifting, doing a spinal twist. We can do all of those, run our legs up and down, cross the arms over like this, all of these things. If you are at work, you can still read your emails while you're doing these. So there's no downtime with the yoga in the office, in the gaming room, schoolroom, or when we're having fun on the computer for relaxation. So there's just so many things. I could be here all day telling you about them. But the major ones is sitting up, because most people slouch when they're on a device. So it's sitting up, keeping the shoulders back and down. But also, Linda, I don't think many people think about their eyes, right? So with the yoga, we have what we call palming. It's I think we do it naturally. I really do. But we rub our hands and get them lovely and warm. We close our eyes and gently cup our eyes over, and we breathe in the warm. It is truly amazing how that, I'm sure you've experienced it too, that tired, glassy feeling, it takes all that away. And it gives us a cleaner look at our screens. So we see things more clearly. We're not misinterpreting what is being on the screen. We can read more and for longer. If you take short breaks, you can stay on your device for longer periods of time. It's very important. The other thing that yoga puts a great deal of attention to is what we call Hasta yoga. And that's the yoga of hands. I don't think a lot of people have heard about it. It's absolutely amazing. So if you incorporate Hasta yoga into the work, play or school time, you'll be amazed for the carpal tunnel, for the arm strength, all fingers, flexibility, mobility, and it's as simple as bringing each finger in turn together and then going back. You do that on both hands. This one may look a little bit tricky, but it's extraordinarily good because it works through the carpal tunnels. We have to close down our tall man. Then we're going to, if you lock those down, it's a lot easier. You're going to face your left hand up and your right hand down, so your index and ring go together and your index and ring go together. Now we take the pressure off the tall man and just sit like that and work those fingers back. You will be amazed how much work that is up the wrists. And then we release them and turn them over. It's fantastic, absolutely. And then we always circle through our wrists, because even with the trackball, we're fairly sedentary. We're working 3 or 4 of the movements. Sliding, same thing. So we need to keep the mobility in our wrists. So just folded leaf, see your fingernails, circle around, back. They are fantastic. The other one I really do like, and I can read my emails, pointer and thumb, and then if you can, look, this is going to look different from every person. Step the fingers up and over, because it pulls the fingers back in an opposite direction. So it's a bit tricky looking, really. And then we can let those down and then give the fingers a little bit of a wiggle.
Fantastic, fantastic.
They're so simple and so easy. Another one that I like to do is sit and ripple my arms, just like that, because our hands are up here. We want the circulation going through. We want to drop the shoulders and give that weight. Even those, they're great. Just to ripple through, get the movement going, fantastic. The other one that helps the cardiovasculars is running on the spot. And that is as simple as sitting straight and running up and down like that. Again, you can be reading something, you can be on the phone, you can be gaming, you can be waiting while the other students are having their say. So all of this, it doesn't matter what age, what circumstance, if you're on a device, you can be doing yoga. It's that simple.
And what about your best advice for as the last takeaway today for our viewers?
Oh, look, there's so many, Linda. I could go on and on. But honestly, if you're stretching up, so just raise the arms, you might get your arms up to here, or you can get them right up. That's okay. The other one I think is very important is the shoulder roll, because we're sitting over way too much. And when we sit over, we squash our tummy a little bit too much, so we need to sit up. And when you're rolling your shoulders, it's very difficult to roll from down here. So we need to sit up and give that lovely roll, but keep those arms in. I really think between that and the palming for the eyes would be my 2 extremely good tips.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And if you'd like to know more about Pauline Rooney and yoga for wellbeing, specifically in this case about devices, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au, and we will say goodbye now till next week.
If you'd like to know more about our show, please like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.